Recently, I was deeply inspired by the Para-Modernism exhibition at the Bundeskunsthalle in Bonn, Germany, and by Peter Michalczyk's book, 1900, Vegetarians, Artists, and Visionaries in Search of a New Paradise. These encounters opened my eyes to how the cultural experiments of the year 1900 still ripple into our 21st century lives. They spoke of people at a crossroads just as we are today, responding to the collapse of all certainties and searching for renewal. In a world that often feels fragmented and frenetic, revisiting this era helps us trace the roots of modern societies and offers glimpses of path toward meaning, healing, and peace. The dawn of the 20th century was marked by contradiction, technological marvels but spiritual emptiness, industrial growth but growing alienation. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche famously warned, "God is dead." It was not a triumph, but a warning. With the collapse of traditional moral frameworks, the burden of the meaning now fell on the individual. Amid the disillusionment, a cultural awakening began. A movement known as Lebensreform, or the Life Reform Movement. People sought radical new ways of living, returning to nature, simplicity, and inner truth. In 1900, on a quiet hill above Lake Maggiore in southern Switzerland, a visionary experiment began. Monte Verità, Mountain of Truth, was founded by a group of seekers led by Ida Hoffmann and Henri Edenkoven. They purchased land to create a utopian colony based on vegetarianism, free love, artistic expression, and anti-capitalist living. Inspired by anarchism, theosophy, and Eastern philosophies, they envisioned a new humanity rooted in harmony and authenticity. Monte Verità became a magnet for dissidents and dreamers, such as Rudolf Laban, pioneer of modern dance, Isadora Duncan, who revolutionized movement as spiritual liberation, Carl Jung, who explored archetypes and the collective unconscious, and Hermann Hesse, whose novels reflected the soul-searching of the age. Hermann Hesse, a restless soul, a truth searcher, a man of contradictions. Disillusioned with bourgeois life, burdened by war, and deeply influenced by Indian philosophy, Hesse came to the mountain in search of healing. There, amidst the artists, dancers, and vegetarians, he found not answers, but the courage to ask deeper questions. What is the self? What does it mean to awaken? And can we truly be free? His novel Sedata, published in 1922, became a spiritual guidebook for generations. It told of a young man who lives his privileged life to wander, fast, and meditate, seeking truth not through doctrine, but through direct experience. Just like the reformers of 1900, Hesse believed that the journey inward was as radical and as necessary as any political revolution. Hesse once wrote, "You have to try the impossible to achieve the possible." He did not preach dogma, invited us to listen inward. His words echo the very essence of the life reform movement. To step out of the machine, to question inherited truths, and to live, above all, authentically. Today, Hesse speaks to a new generation of seekers, those tired of noise and surface, searching for wholeness. Whether through meditation, travel, creativity, or solitude, this path is still open. The same longing that drew Hesse to Monte Verità stirs in many of us today. A longing not for escape, but for integration, for peace that begins within. Crucially, Monte Verità was also a space of emancipation for women. At a time when corsets and conformity ruled, women here cut their hair, wore loose tunics, and practiced vegetarianism, yoga, and free expression. Figures like Ida Hoffmann and Franziska Countess to Hamman helped lead a spiritual and feminist reawakening, challenging patriarchal norms and seeking liberation not just from politics, but from internalized repression. The life reform movement was thus not only anti-industrial and anti-authoritarian, it was also deeply gender-aware and offered a vision of equality long before mainstream feminism caught up. Around the same time, far from Switzerland, Leo Tolstoy experienced a profound spiritual crisis. He renounced his wealth and privilege, embraced manual labor, and preached Christian pacifism and moral reform. His book, The Kingdom of God is Within You, inspired countless seekers, including those at Monte Verità, to live in harmony with nature and conscience. There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. In 1948, Nat King Cole introduced the world Nature Boy, a haunting melody written by a man who seemed to step out of another time. His name was Eden Abbas, a mystical wanderer who lived off the land, slept beneath the stars, and composed in the shadows of Los Angeles canyons. But his soul belonged to another place entirely. Abbas followed the ideals of Lebensreform, born decades earlier in Monte Verità. Live close to nature, eat purely, seek truth beyond convention. He was a nature boy in every sense, a post-war echo of the seekers of 1900, when artists, ascetics, and anarchists climbed Swiss mountaintops in search of a freer world. Over the decades, Nature Boy has never stopped evolving, each version whispering the spirit of its own time. Half a century before Nature Boy, another artist challenged the world to face the self. In 1899, Gustav Klimt painted Nuda Veritas, Naked Truth. A woman, bare and unapologetic, holds up a mirror to the viewer, not for beauty, not for vanity, but to confront. Can you face the truth of who you really are? This was Nietzsche's question, made flesh in gold leaf and defiance. Klimt's art, like Abbas' own, whispered that truth begins where illusions end. By the 1960s, that whisper became a roar. In San Francisco, the children of post-war affluence rejected conformity. They read Nietzsche and Tolstoy, chanted mantras, dropped acid, danced barefoot in the mud, and rebuilt community in communes and desert festivals. They sought not to escape, but to transform, not to hide, but to see. The naked woman with a mirror had become the barefoot protester with a flower. Both demanded honesty from society and from the self. Both asked, what is real? And who are you without your masks? And just as at Monte Verità, women were again at the heart of change. They challenged patriarchy, reclaimed the body, and reimagined love, not as possession, but as liberation. From theosophy to second-wave feminism, from herbalism to astrology, their visions endured, even when the spotlight faded. But the dream didn't begin in the 60s, and it didn't die there. The reformers of 1900 weren't fleeing modernity, they were redefining it. Today, their legacy lives on. We ask the same questions. How can we reconnect with the earth? How do we build peace in a chaotic world? How do we live with purpose and love? The answers may not be found in noise or speed, but in the quiet of mountains, gardens, and the heart. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. If this story moved you, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps this channel grow. And remember, stay curious, stay open, because sometimes finding peace means returning to nature and truth, just as the seekers of 1900 once did.